Welcome to the Yankee Rican podcast, where we talk all Yankee and sports related content. My name is Frankie Crespo, along with my partner in crime, Teo Kum. We are two New Yorkers that love all things sports. And today we're going to be talking about the Yankees versus the A's and the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Yankees, the current series. And we're going to be talking about what we think is going to be happening in this current series. Um, but first, I assume we should get to something very near and dear to me. I was actually able to go to the Athletics versus Yankees game this past Tuesday, thanks to a good friend of mine. Um, and it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. The Yankees won 5-3. Um, and top of the ninth, um, home run. Ahmed Rosario is my hero. He hit 2 home runs. He almost drove in all the runs that day. Um, it was absolutely crazy. I got to see Cam in person. Yes, he is like 6'6". He's like huge. He's very lanky though. I also realized that. I guess I never like. I guess I could always tell that he was lanky, but seeing him that close, I was like, "Whoa, this guy's." He's like a Gumby type. Um, and then uh, closing out the game was awesome. David Bednar, the music, the lights cutting out. Um, it was absolutely fun. Manny Pacquiao throwing out the first
Wait,
pitch
you
was
met Manny Pacquiao?
yeah, sort of. I did sort of meet Manny Pacquiao
Yeah,
because
explain yourself there.
because I did run into him, but I didn't know at the time because we were heading to the concessions. We were gonna get the chicken bucket, of course, and I see this guy and then he's being surrounded by security, and I was like assuming like, oh, maybe this guy's giving somebody trouble or something, but he's wearing this really cool jacket, and it's a Yankees varsity jacket. But what's special? It has the Filipino flag on it. And I was like, "Oh, that is sick. That's a great jacket." I was like, "I wonder if they do that for other countries." I was like, "Let's get a Puerto Rican one. I think that'd be sick, right?" And then, we head to our seats. We have our food. We sit down. I'm sitting on the bench in the bleachers, and I'm like, "Oh," I'm hearing him get announced, and I'm like, "Champion, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh, this guy's huge deal." Like, I knew it was a boxer because of the way that they were talking about him. And then all of a sudden, no joke, Manny Pacquiao is there to throw the first pitch. And I put the dots together. I said, "Oh shoot, we saw Manny Pacquiao and he was picking up like a hot dog or something like that." And I didn't even realize it at the time. So, yeah, I guess I sorta met Manny Pacquiao. I didn't get to talk to him or anything like
He
that.
got his autograph. He got everything, man.
That would've been awesome though, Manny Pacquiao. But yeah,
Manny
what a
Pac
great first pitch. Yeah,
Manny
because
Pacquiao.
the other times I haven't been able to really run into, like, the first pitch was never like a celebrity or anything like that. So, but that was very cool. Um, and I wanted your opinion on the rest of the series, especially game 2, which was very frustrating.
Yeah. Before I do that, I've never got to meet Manny Pacquiao or pass by Manny Pacquiao before. My mom liked him a lot. She saw some of those kind of fights, and
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, never really met famous people in Yankee Stadium. I think the closest is probably the roll call guy, and I guess he is famous in a way, but it's like it's not really an achieve accomplishment, I would say.
Local
But
legend.
anyways, it's a local legend, right? You see him, you see his face, you go, oh, that's the roll call guy. Um, yeah. So that game was a great game. Cam Strittler went okay, even though he gave up those 3 runs, he still had a great uh little outing with 5 innings pitched, and the bullpen went to work. Didn't give up any more runs. And the hitting worked well. Ahmet Rosario has been really going at it these last couple games. I that top of the bottom of the eighth home run is something that I'm sure you're gonna hold to dear heart with that, because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just like just getting to see that in that kind of atmosphere, you're down by 2 runs, you need something, and he comes up, who's been the unlikely power source throughout this entire tenure with the Yankees. It's great. I'm glad that you got to experience that. It would have been more electric if that was like a walk off in the bottom of the
Oh,
ninth,
yeah. I agree. That is true.
which I've never been able to see that. I've seen a walk off live, but not a walk off home run. So hold that dear to your heart. The curse is broken. But
Good.
I feel like the Yankees are now in their own curse with a 3-game losing streak. Let's talk about the game after that, where the scores were reversed. The A's, actually, no, I lied. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a really bad thing to say. They were not reversed, but the A's still had 3 runs and the Yankees had 2 runs. And this game was not a good game. The Yankees started off strong with a 2-run lead, and then it largely was a competitive bullpen outing until everything just fell flat. And Brent Rooker had that sac fly that gave the A's the lead, and McMahon, due to the plate, um, trying to really put some noise into his Yankee tenure, he did nothing. He struck out in the bottom of the ninth, and McMahon had that struggle, and also a lot of these other teams had their struggle. But ultimately, the bullpen was still great. Duvall did his job. Hedrick did his dard job. Tim Hill did his job. Everybody did well, except for David Bednar, who's been getting hit around a lot very early on as the designated closer. And then we had the next game after, where it was a 1-0 showdown. Did they get any hits? One hit this entire series. The Yankees weren't able to do anything. And the A's were able to hit around that bullpen, especially late into that game. Jeffrey Springs had a great outing on the plate, and this was just embarrassing. And if you're the Yankees with this type of lineup that we've been using throughout the last few games, I need to know your thoughts about this. One hit this early, by the way.
So what I do have to say is, in the second game of the Athletics versus Yankees, Rice actually, I think he went 0 for 4. Um, he's gonna get into certain
Well, no,
times where
Rice was the only player from
well
that team that got a
for
hit.
for game 3, yes. For game 3.
Yeah.
I'm referring game 2, he struggled.
Oh yeah.
Then you go into game 3 and he's the only one to record a hit. That's something I'm gonna be taking into account. Ben Rice, despite him struggling the previous game, he still puts up the effort and he could still put up a fight. And that's something that I appreciate, because again, there's a few Yankees that we have trouble with that don't seem to be putting up enough fight
Yeah,
for
we're
us.
a part of this team.
Yeah, well, and it's a struggle. I mean, I don't expect the Yankees to win every game, but put up the fight, put up a good fight. Don't roll over, literally, don't roll over, and let the other team win. Just because you're going through your sort of struggle personally. Um, you know, um, I'm gonna let you rant here in a bit, but I do want to get to one person before we talk about the big name that I think you obviously know who I'm talking about. You know what? I'm not gonna talk about Ryan McMahon because you know what? Honestly, like I don't know what to say anymore. Like, what else is there to say? This guy
I
couldn't hit water out of a boat.
It's not good. It's the McMahon situation is not good. But I will say this about McMahon. I think many Yankee fans forgot about the blessings and the curses that McMahon has brought to this lineup. And I remember talking about this with my uncle Derek. He's a Mets fan, so he has that National League perspective. I have my American League perspective. But typically, we tend to watch I tend to watch National League games to really understand what's going on in that other league. But that's besides the point. I remember when we made that trade, we talked about the blessing being his elite defense and the curse being that he strikes out a lot. I mean, Frankie, man, come on. Last year, he had the worst percentage among qualified hitters for strikeouts.
Yeah.
32.3%. And I love McMahon's defense on third, but having him play shortstop doesn't really work anymore. Not anymore. It never worked. We tried that in spring training. Spring training was a disaster for him at shortstop. Keep him on third. I said this before and I said that again. On top of that, it's just the contact hitting needs to be figured out. It's getting to a point where it's just better to put him on the bench and Cabby play third and Volpe play short. And Volpe playing short, like really saying Volpe playing short out of my that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Cashman did actually recently announce, right, that when Volpe's already, I think, getting his reps in, and that he's going to be playing shortstop. Now, let's be on. I'm going to be completely honest. At least Volpe makes contact. Okay, I will say that.
No,
That's
Volpe can make go.
what. Yeah.
Volpe is young and he can make great contact. I understand, and I listen. Yes, we make fun of Volpe, but at the end of the day, Volpe can make contact. McMahon has shown, even when he played with the Rockies, that he can't hit. That's just been the problem.
Yes, he's a big time. Like he's a big leaguer. Yes, but he's never been known for his bat, which is very frustrating. Obviously, uh, you know, um, his defense. I don't know if his defense is valuable enough at the moment, for him to be playing every single day. Again, at the day that I went the athletic series Tuesday, he didn't get the start. He didn't play third or short. Caballero, he played shortstop. He didn't really do much, but he plays a good shortstop. And then Jazz was playing second, which, by the way, so that's who I wanted to talk about before we get into the big question mark on this lineup that's been playing basically these past few games. Um, Jazz, it seems I think something's wrong with Jazz. And I don't know if it's something personal or I don't know if it's something like Boone that he thinks that there's something wrong with Jazz, but Jazz hasn't been playing the same way or often. So, everybody thought that Jazz was basically going to be an everyday second baseman, but that's obviously not true anymore just due to the way the lineup has been built recently. Because if you're going to play McMahon at short, which they have a couple times now, and then Ahmed Rosario at third or second, because Ahmed Rosario also plays second, then you kind of like you struggle to put Jazz in a certain spot. Because again, Jazz refuses to play shortstop. He refuses to play third. He's not going to bleed. I mean, look, him and Grisham are both struggling, but he doesn't play outfield defense like Grisham does anyways, okay? So he's not going to
No, I
play.
mean he used to play offense, but I think I think he's found a better position where he's at now compared to offense. I don't think he would be I mean, I don't know the full picture when it comes to that, but I don't think that he wants to play it back into that offensive role.
Yeah, because the outfield is obviously basically it's basically the same three guys. At least that's who we want to see. We want to see Cody Bellinger, Grisham, and Judge basically every single day so far. Again, I really don't know why Jazz hasn't been starting every single game at this point. Again, like his defense has been a little lackluster. Like he seems very nonchalant on these plays, which is that's always been Jazz's type of game. But when you start messing up plays and you start like not putting out full effort for certain plays where you should be, it really does make you look really bad. Especially since Jazz is just not producing enough offensively to back up his defense. So second base is also this place where it's like I thought third we had a problem at third. We might have a problem at second also. Because I mean, hey, listen, if Volpe is going to be playing on this team in 3 months, right? I assume that's basically the projected amount of time, like 3 months. He's probably going to be in the lineup already. Then you don't need to worry about shortstop. Okay, Volpe has always been pretty good at shortstop. Obviously, again, Gold Glove. So you don't have to worry about shortstop no more, right? So then that leaves you with third and second base. And that's when you get into a conflict, because if Ahmed Rosario is going to be this guy, if he's going to be this guy who's going to drive in runs, then you need to have him in the lineup. But Jazz is also this guy who's supposed to be this electric playing, like he's supposed to be this guy who gets on base, steals bases, and he gets on base often. But if he's not doing defense, if he's not playing offense, then you can't play him. We've seen him pinch run, we've seen him get put in later in a game, as of late, but I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know if it's a decision from Boone to not start him for certain games, because Jazz is supposed to hit lefties also. So you can't say you're playing matchup, especially if especially if Ryan McMahon is getting the start. Because I mean McMahon, he can't even hit a righty. So what luck does he have hitting a lefty? So that's kind of a bad excuse. And so yeah, I really don't know what's gonna happen. I'm also looking towards this one guy who has been playing outfield for us, and I wanted to hear about Randall Grichuk, please.
Do you really want me to talk about Randall Grichuk? Okay, I will. So, the last few games, Grisham has not started, and Randall Grichuk has taken the spot.
Yes.
And this is my thing, right? At some point, I want to hopefully see Dominguez back onto our lineup. And I cannot stress this enough how much he is a better player compared to this guy. Now, granted, these are two very different sample sizes from these two players. But the fact of the matter is, Dominguez is a young, speedy, and is good with the contact hitting. Grichuk has done barely anything besides playing left field when we need him to, and that's it. He does not take good takes. He swings at every freaking pitch. The game where we got one hit, he had 3 strikeouts. Come
Right.
on, man. Like, and all of those were 3 pitch strikeouts, right? So at least I don't see Grichuk as a asset. I see Dominguez as an asset. I understand this is the shopping period, as back in college, as they say it, the shopping period where we're just seeing what works and doesn't work. I'm sorry, Grichuk does not work. Having Dominguez and having Grisham, that same duo that we had back last year, worked 10 times better than this Grisham and Grichuk duo, right? That's my thoughts. It's very simple. I can't with him. The whole thing about this is also our lineup, right? The Yankees lineup was the worst. Yesterday's lineup in particular was the worst lineup in the entire season so far. Let's
Yeah.
get even into this. Benching Ben Rice made no sense when we needed him to perform. And when he did perform in the bottom of the 8th, he did exactly what was expected. He got that home run to try to get the Yankees back into a rhythm. And maybe you could put some blame on our hitting coach, because the fact of the matter is there's a lot of these players who aren't making good takes. And for Christ's sake, we got one hit by the A's, man. We got
Yeah.
one hit by the A's. Our lineup needs to be structured to where we can be able to trust players to have a quality at bat. And at the end of the day, this just isn't an overreaction. This is the yellow flags are starting to turn orange. And then before you know it, those orange flags, they turn red.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you're not frustrated, then what are you doing as a Yankees fan? Like, you have to be frustrated at this. Look, Goldschmidt, I get it. They wanted to play Goldschmidt, but you have to come to like a decision, right? Like, are you gonna play Goldschmidt? If you're gonna play Goldschmidt, then Rice, you need to maybe think about Rice playing catcher. Okay, because our
Exactly.
catchers
Exactly.
are not
That's what
too
they didn't
good.
do. They didn't do that yesterday.
Yes. Look, Wells is still struggling.
Right.
Ascara is like barely doing better than him. Obviously he's not your everyday. He's only playing, one game of the series basically. So I honestly don't know what you're gonna do. Because if this is what you're gonna do, and by the way, yeah, Jason Dominguez, He's killing it in AAA right now. He is absolutely killing it. And honestly, it's being reported that he's gonna get called up
He
very
better be.
soon.
He better be.
Very soon. I don't obviously I don't know who goes down. I don't know what's the lineup gonna be. Is he gonna play center field? I mean, that's his natural position. We were forcing him to play left field because our center field was Grisham, and Grisham obviously he was so good, and obviously Stan was out, so you would just play Judge and DH. But now you can't do that because now they want Stan to play DH every day, basically for the most part. Um, so I really don't know what you're gonna do. We could have conversations about Spencer Jones also. I mean, he had a great spring training. Obviously, do you want to see him get called up at this point? No, still. But is it better than what we have right now? Maybe. Like honestly, maybe. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to say. I mean, it's been said before, like Austin Wells and Ascara, that's not a good like you look at those two catchers, you're like, oh, is that a good matchup to play every single day at catcher? Not really, no. Like Ascara and Wells, they're fine, right? I mean, they're not terrible. They're fine. They're okay. But together, it really makes them both sour a little bit. Um, but let's say you had Rice, right? You throw in Rice at catcher, and I get it. I get why they don't want to play Rice at catcher because they want him to be the next first base. They want him to play the first base role for the
Mm-hmm.
Yankees in the future.
And
But
it's understandable, right?
yes,
And also, a catcher position is a hard position to play in.
especially if you're not gonna get your reps. I mean, Rice hasn't started a game um in catcher since I think maybe he did play catcher in spring training once or twice, but not really. So that means the last time he played catcher was in an actual game last season. Um so honestly, I also don't want Rice to be in an uncomfortable position where he has to do first baseman reps and catcher reps at the exact same time. I think that's too much. That's very physically demanding and mentally demanding on somebody who is probably, I mean, is it even arguably like he is our best performer at the moment,
I
right?
would consider him a best performer at the moment. I mean,
Yeah, I was about to
I
say,
would like it's fair to say, right?
absolutely. I was like, okay, so your best performer, why would you want to make him uncomfortable? I mean, but it's for the betterment of the team, maybe. So
Mhm.
maybe the next time the Yankees have a off day, they really need to have a conversation where it's like, are you really gonna play Wells? Is Wells really your starting catcher?
Yeah.
Like, is this who you're gonna have?
Mhm.
I still believe that you can probably go out and try to get another catcher. Um, I think the Yankees really made a bad decision. I mean, I don't want to say it. I'm not gonna say it because it might be a little too
No,
controversial.
say it. Say it.
I
We're
would
not getting fined.
they really needed a right-handed catcher, and they just did
The
not
left
pull the trigger.
the lefties has been a problem. The lefty lineup is starting to become a problem. And you can slowly see it happen, right? And I don't know what the minor leagues look like in terms of having a righty catcher, if there's
Yeah,
one even available. But we need to have some more righties in this lineup, right? Because a lefty on lefty doesn't always work.
no.
And we saw that yesterday, right? So do you mind if we switch over, not switch over, but shift over to the Rays and Yankees game yesterday?
Yeah, definitely.
So as I mentioned before, this was probably the worst lineup in particular, due to the fact that Rice wasn't even playing. Left field was everybody was a lefty. Grisham didn't even play. He pitched hit late into the game,
Yes.
and I don't know about the lefty situation, but I do know about this situation, the Luis Hill situation. Why is he back? Why? Why? I like the Luis Hill in his rookie debut. His sophomore debut, not so much. His this debut now is even worse, right? And I get it, when you're coming back from recovery, you're not gonna get like a perfect game, right? We don't expect that from Luis Hill. But come on, man, 4 innings, 4 innings, man, and 3 runs scored that early. And
I
this is my thing. Like,
mean,
there's been benefits to our pitching for the most part. Like, everybody has done their job, right? Even with Warren and Weathers, who's been hit around, and Bednar and Duvall, and I know you have issues when it comes to Duvall. And listen, I'll be the first. I won't be the first person they say it, but I have not too much of Duvall. Um, the defense can hold up, right? But not for a very long time. Weathers performed a pitching performance that I don't think me and you or really any Yankee fans expected
expected.
from him.
No, not at all.
8 innings, a couple hits. That's great, right? That gave us the bullpen's day off. And then the next thing you know, we put in Luis Hill, right? It's just not sustainable at this point. Like, it's not sustainable, and Boone should not have called up Hill after Weathers' performance, and in my opinion, should have brought him up when they returned back home for Kansas City.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Absolutely. Um, you know, okay, 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs. But what really gets me is the walks. 3 walks. Okay, he had
Bad.
2 strikeouts, fine. But he's always been like this. He's always been walking people. But as you get into the MLB and you start playing more and more major league seasons at the top level, you want your walk rate to go down. Why is it continuing to go up for Luis Hill? I don't know. I don't like. Is it even controversial? Like, is Luis Hill gonna get another start, or are they gonna just send him back down? Like, are they gonna realize, oh, we made a mistake, we're gonna call like, or would the Yankees be too embarrassed to be like, no, Hill is fine, we're gonna make him pitch again?
In my personal opinion, I would much rather have Weathers than Hill, right? They're both young, but Weathers has been showing good outings, right?
That's
And
true.
and it is a way better outings that he's had compared to what he did last year or the year before. This is nothing new from Heel. Yeah, I would much rather prefer Weathers over Heel at this point, right? They're both young. They're both young, but Weathers has just shown more of a better outing than compared to Heel, right? It's very early. I get it. But we need to be realistic. Like, how many more walks is Hill going to give up compared to Weathers, who hasn't really done that?
Yeah, that's true. Um, and Ryan Weathers, I mean, honestly, maybe, I mean, have we been harsh on Weathers? Probably not. I think we've been very fair to him, and I think it's very unfair that his best outing, he didn't get any runs of support. That's really unfortunate, honestly. And I do feel bad for Ryan Weathers because he has a lot of potential, and obviously, maybe he scratched the surface of his real potential in his last outing, and the Yankees basically just did nothing for him. Um, so it's pretty unlucky. I mean, Luis Hill. I mean, he didn't even give the Yankees much of a chance? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, 4 innings, 3 earned runs, and all those walks. I mean, it just doesn't help. You know, um, Hedrick gave up a run also. Um, and I'm trying to think, how did they give up the fifth run? Because I'm not, I can't remember. It was towards the end of the game. They gave up their fifth.
Um, they gave it was from your best friend Camilo Duvall.
Oh, of course. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that's very that's very unlucky. Obviously, Duvall. I've said my piece about him, but obviously he's not terrible. Okay, he's not terrible. It's just he gives people a little bit of anxiety. And I
And it's
guess
valid, and that's valid to say.
it's definitely um, the biggest unfortunate thing about yesterday's game again was just the lineup construction is just so it was so ugly. I mean, you could hear like you could almost hear Michael K like barely able to say like the lineup because you're like, dude, nobody wants to see this lineup. Like,
Correct.
this is again, this is definitely the worst lineup that the Yankees could put up. Um, it's kind of crazy that this team is still struggling as much as it is. Like going into the season, I'm not saying I was like, oh, the Yankees are gonna win every single game, but like to put up such an ugly performance, against the Rays, and I'm not talking like the Rays are a good team. They're always interesting team to face, especially if you're especially if you're a Yankees fan. And then I said the same thing about the A's. I predicted that the A's were gonna like actually have a good outing.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't. And when I mean by that, we got one hit by the A's. I don't mean that as the A's aren't a bad team. The A's have a decently good young team, but I just mean that in a more general senses where we got one hit by the A's.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
no, we're not saying because the A's are bad. We're saying it because we're the freaking Yankees, and the Yankees don't get one hit by teams. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're
Right.
saying. You know, um, there's a few A's players that you could definitely say should be on this Yankees team instead.
Sure. I would like Brett Merker on my team, right? I would like
Langoliers,
Lawrence Butler.
yeah, Langoliers also. I that's my number one guy.
Would you want Sevy on the team again?
Oof. He's better than Heel,
Yeah.
and maybe his more experience might also edge him over Weathers also. So maybe, nice little reunion. I think
I would keep Sevy and Weathers. I'd like that pair.
you could put Weathers in. Yeah, exactly. You could keep them together, but maybe one of them doesn't have to be a starter. Like, let's have Weathers
Yeah.
out of relief.
Yeah,
But
maybe as a backup.
yeah, and honestly, oh man, I got butterflies thinking about Sevy. Wait, is that weird? Doesn't matter. Yeah, but
You said your
I'm
piece.
obviously, I obviously miss Sevy because you miss some of the baby bomber. Like like where's Gary Sanchez? Like, when I went to the Yankees game,
Yeah.
in the stands, they're like Gary Sanchez, because we're like slumping. People are just trying to like keep up the good moods, and we're like, man, Gary Sanchez, man, like he could be on this team. He could be on this team. Maybe he
Maybe.
could play.
There's
Um,
benefits. I mean, I still have a Gary Sanchez Yankees jersey.
he was
Um,
something else special.
I
Very
like.
special.
Yeah, I will tell you this. He is still on a baseball team. Do you want to guess where? I'll
Last
give
time I
you.
saw him, he was on the Brewers.
He's on the Brewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, I don't know how he's doing with the Brewers, but obviously I hope that he's doing well. I wish all the former Yankees that I remember watching, like Bader's having like an interesting season with the Giants. I think he could be, he's interesting. Is he better than Randall Grichuk? Yes. So should Bader be on this team? Maybe. I think that'd be great. Bader's always a fun time in New York, no matter where he is on both sides of the city.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm like it's just it's a few losses, but it really makes you reminisce about certain good moments, as a fan. Yeah, I miss Bader. I miss Sevy, I miss Sanchez, it really makes you miss some of these guys for sure.
Most definitely.
What's Didi
Most.
doing right now that the WBC is over?
I don't know. I think Didi is in a league for sure.
He's still playing in Mexico is the question, I guess.
I don't think he plays for. Did you say the Mexican league? I don't think he plays for. I don't know. That's a good question. I think he's on a league, but I'm not too sure.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find him.
Oh no,
Looks like
he is. He was on the Mexican league last year. I do remember that, but I don't know if he's still on that team. That's my thing.
I wonder it could still be really useful if he was on this team. Maybe he could play second base again, I don't know.
36-year-old shortstop. I don't know about that. I mean, we have
Not a
we say
shortstop.
that we say that, and we have Goldschmidt, but like we don't want this
first
team to
base.
get any older.
That's true. And first base is the old man position, to be fair, No
Mhm.
disrespect to first base, but you could stick a lot of players there.
Listen, Unk still got it.
That's
right?
true.
Unk still got it.
Beltran is still great, you know.
Mhm.
Even though he didn't really do much last game, anyways. But who cares, man? Whatever. Like he's not getting his everyday. He's not playing every day, so I don't even like whatever. Um, but yes. Today, I mean, look, we look at today's game. Today's game, I think has a. Is it a 7 o'clock start?
So
Today.
a little earlier than that, they play at around 6 o'clock, right? Yeah, 6:10.
Okay, 6:10. Yeah, I was thinking like 6 or 7. So, the Yankees, I think today's freed, right? Today should be freed, projected.
Big man Freed.
So you know what? Yeah, let's win the game. Let's win this game. All right, let's get over the
Yeah.
hump. It's been a few days since you see a good Yankees win. Let's win by more than one run. How about that? I think that would be really cool.
I
Let's
would
win.
I would hope so. I'm praying that they do.
Yeah, because it's very disappointing. Again, again, this doesn't need to be a huge offensive team. Excuse me. This could just be a team where we win comfortably, though. I think it should still be a little bit more comfortable. The pitching staff has been pretty decent. Still, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the biggest shocker this season so far. Is like, oh, the pitching has actually been really good.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'll be excited to see today's game. Definitely will be watching. And in um, game three projected starter, who should that be?
Cam Slittler.
And yeah, Killer Cam. Um, Obviously, again, really cool to see him in person. I hope that he can get a win. That'd be really nice. Let's go 6 innings. Let's put
Yeah.
up a good game. Make sure we give all our starters, some runs that they could relax on, and that'll be nice.
That's the ideal thing, right?
Always, yeah. That's
We
sort of
I just want to see this team get into a better rhythm on the lineup, and it has to do with this lineup. We can't. First of all, get Grichuk off the team, put Dominguez
yeah,
back in or Grisham. And two, figure out a thing with righties, right? Add a righty in there, add some righties in there, because lefty on lefty lineup does not really work in baseball. It's rare for it to work in baseball. That being said, every day is a new day. This is the shopping period, as they say in college, and as we say here in the podcast, where the shopping period to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think right now what's working is our pitching. Even with some of the pitchers getting some runs, even with the head scratching from Jake Bird, Paul Blackburn, Camilo Duvall, even Bentnar, we still have a good defensive lineup, defensive pitching rotation. It's
yes.
just we got to figure out our offensive lineup because at the end of the day, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm just hoping for better results. Um, Maybe we need to start having trade conversations, and we look into free agency. I think that'd be something interesting to talk about maybe next episode. Um, because yeah, I mean there has to be something better than this. There has to be something better than Grichuk. I mean, again, Dominguez, I think the call, like literally, there's a big red button on Aaron Boone's desk, and it has The Martian right there. Like, and he's almost about to press it. Like he's got to be this close. Like, has to be. He has to be thinking we got to call this guy back up. You know,
Right,
and again, what's
right. With how much? No, go
no,
ahead.
that
Sorry.
yeah, with how much that this team is struggling offensively, somebody who's hitting that well. I mean, I know it's AAA, fine, but he's got to have something, for us, as a team right now.
Right. And how much money we're investing into him?
Yes,
I don't know. Maybe use him.
yes,
Right? He's not getting any older. He's young.
yeah. He is young. He's has a lot. I mean, he has a lot to prove still, and I think this is a good time to let him show it off a little bit. Um, you know, uh, I don't know. Like, I just, again, I don't know why the Yankees are doing certain things this way. I don't want to blame Boone because it could just be some other management problem. Cashman, obviously. I mean, again, Volpe. They just talked about Volpe coming back. Like he's gonna be the shortstop. So don't be like. So in about 5 months from now, 3 months, 4 months, when Volpe's at shortstop, we shouldn't be shocked because he already said he's gonna be playing shortstop.
Right.
You know, as disappointed as we may be at the
Mhm.
time.
It's just we gotta get good takes, right? I'll leave it off with this, right? There's this tweet by the Yankee Report on Twitter, and it reads like this: "This is not going to fly when you are facing Garrett Crochet in 40-degree weather in October."
And that is absolutely true. And again, that's not going to work against a lot of the best starters in baseball. You know, look, the Red Sox are struggling. The Blue Jays are struggling. Okay, we're the number one in the AL East. Let's keep it that way. Let's not fall behind. Let's not, let people get ahead of us. Let's stay number one. Keep being number one. Let's get our wins. Whatever. We're gonna have tough losses. It's gonna happen, but don't lose the ones that you expect to win. And that's it. That's basically all I got to say.
It's there's always room for improvement. But so that will end today's episode. It's a rather short episode, but a lot of frustrated feelings that we feel. But at the same time, it's nice to see some things work and some things that don't work. But be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. Still in the 25 subscriber category, but that's all right with us. Make sure to comment and tell us what do you think about what's going on with the Yankee roster, or if there's anything else you want to cover in the outside world of baseball.